Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion picture you're about to see contains scenes so terrifying, the public must be given grave warning.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Sewer Dweller, the Scrooge this year. And we are here. Happy belated Krampusnacht. We are going to be celebrating Krampusnacht today. It was last night, of course. It always falls on the 5th of December. And we are going to watch Krampus Unleashed. Yeah. We'll talk about this one. Fair warning, there's going to be a lot of yelling by the end of this movie. I'm not going to lie. Welcome again to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. We are watching Krampus Unleashed from 2016. Also today, of course, we got as usual, our horror movie news and our haunted house industry news. There's not much news this week. We're at the end of the year, of course, the haunt industry. Really, the only thing going on in the haunt industry right now is everybody's preparing for their Christmas haunts and starting to do their brainstorming for next year. So there's really not much news going on the haunt industry front. Horror movie news is there's a bunch of trailers that dropped today. The new picture, the new poster art for 28 Days Later. And there's a couple of things we'll talk about. Today we'll also talk about the legend of Krampus and some of the traditions that go on around the world. Because I enjoy Krampusnacht. It's one of the more fun stories. Plus, I'm being a sucker for history as I am. Um, I do enjoy legends and things like that, especially for anybody who's joined me for Shivers. I do enjoy a good what do you call it, cryptid story. He's not really a cryptid; he's more of a legend, but still. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the week's news. Um, Again, there's not much. There's really not much going on in the world of the haunt industry. Like I said, the haunt industry kind of on a break right now. Those who aren't opening for Christmas are kind of taking that deep breath and relaxing, getting ready to start brainstorming for next year after the holiday and everything. Um, and then the builds and everything will start again. We'll start over the summer and that. Next Friday, if you're in the Dayton, Ohio area, next Friday and Saturday, Hell's Dungeon will be open. Friday night they're doing Movie Mayhem. You basically you'll get to come visit your favorite movie characters. It's kind of a tradition we do on Friday the 13th. Uh, and then on top of that, on the 14th, we do have where they're gonna do their Hell's Dungeon will be doing their Christmas haunt. And actually, Saturday morning on the 14th, we'll be doing Christmas or breakfast with the Grinch. You can go to the website experiencethedungeon.com and sign up for that. I believe that's how they're doing it this year. And you can set up a certain time. You get a breakfast bar. You get to basically eat breakfast with the Grinch, and maybe even some of Hell's Dungeons rejects. You never know. So go ahead and check all that stuff out. That's what's going on here. I know Pyle is out in Sydney. I haven't heard anything yet. He's doing a toy drive. So again, if you're in that area, in the Sydney area, Dayton area, head on over there. Drop off, donate a couple of toys. Come on, it's that time of year. Um, it's that time of year to make sure all kids have something to open on Christmas. Let's not all be grumpy curmudgeons. But anyway, let's get to the haunt industry news. Again, there's not much. Ohio Christmas Factory returns to Canton, Ohio with Tay-Tay trees and elf slide. 59-year-old manual. This comes from. I did not write where I got this article from. I apologize. But 59-year-old Manuel Halkias enjoyed the Ohio Christmas Factory so much last year that he even got his photo taken with Santa. The local educator didn't hesitate and wasn't the least bit embarrassed. As a kid, I never had a picture of me with Santa, so as an adult, I finally got one, he said. That was just the start for the Canton residents. There was so much to see and do, he said, noting there's abundant photo opportunities. The staff was tremendous and interacting with the characters was a blast. We live in a world where an escape into happiness is a necessary thing, Halkias added. This experience was that for me. I could be a kid again. I could find my happiness and joy. Halkias was among the many people who reveled in the holiday season during the inaugural run of the Ohio Christmas Factory last year at the Factory of Terror, 4129 Mahoning Road in Northeast, in Canton, of course, Canton, Ohio. And the sprawling indoor haunted attraction promises to be even more adventurous and fun when it opens Friday. John Eslich and Kim Shapiro, operators of the family-friendly Christmas-themed extravaganza, say they tweaked some features and added new ones, including the Elf Express slide, which Eslich tried to himself recently, flashing a smile worthy of a kid on Christmas morning. Another twist will be a touch of Halloween inspired by the 1993 movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. Spooky Town, covering between 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, will be tucked behind a facade that will feature fun yet slightly spooky elements. If that's not your thing, guests can skip it. We're super excited about that, Eslich said of Spooky Town. Again, if I'm probably butchering this name. Uh, it's friendly Halloween, he assured, but there's still some witches and some ghosts and things like that, but not gory. Otherwise, Christmas Factory will be all about the holiday spirit. Last year there was some confusion with some people assuming the Christmas Factory was haunted and Halloween themed, Shapiro said. It's about celebrating the holidays with friends and family and memorializing that experience with photo ops, Eslich said. The art team went all out on the Elf Express slide. Eslich said again. A ladder leads to Santa's workshop, and a faux conveyor belt and a video window offers a peek at the elves at work. Also new is the candy throne, measuring about 10 feet tall, 6 feet wide. It will be a must, Eslich said. It's so impressive. Everyone's going to want their picture taken while they're in it. Wacky and Wild Glen. Okay, that's. Why did that get added? An advertisement got added in somehow. Added Shapiro, it's so over the top. Also expect to see of more than 50 Christmas trees, along with a special section themed for pop music megastar Taylor Swift. and lots of new props have been ordered, including overseas shipments, Shapiro said. What else is inside the Ohio Christmas factory? It's open to all ages. The experience is immersive, and a slew of individual features sprinkled inside a maze of Christmas time magic spread across roughly 50,000 square feet. Before entering, there is a 15-minute light show projected on a custom-built facade at the entrance. Other attractions inside include an immersive illusions, kids fun zone, and Santa's teddy bear workshop. There's also the Jingle and Mingle bar crawl, plus letters to Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus's bakery. The dance floor is back too. Musical acts are the singing reindeer and a band featuring raccoons. What? No Emmett Otter? The North Pole Tavern, featuring old-style department store window displays and a snow ski lodge vibe, will be selling Christmas cocktails and mocktails. There are 4 bars. Shapiro said it's difficult to fully explain the Christmas factory experience. It's Christmas overload for the family, she said, and people are like, what does that mean? That's part of the mystique. You have to experience it. Drinks include the Sugar Plum Punch, featuring berry and orange vodka with pineapple and cranberry juice, plus almond flavored syrup and ginger ale. Eggnog and hot chocolate will be served non alcoholic and spiked. A pirate themed drink for children is made with Sprite and blue raspberry and garnished with gummy sharks and Swedish fish. A pudding based shot is made with rum chata cream, liqueur, and vanilla vodka. Topping it off are whipped cream cookie sprinkles. It tastes just like cinnamon Christmas cookies, said Shapiro. Tickets are $26.95 general admission and $23.95 for kids. They can be purchased at ohiochristmasfactory.com. Tickets for adult night on December 19th, running 5 to 10 p.m. and open to ages 21 and older, also cost $24.95. What did I lost my matinee tickets for kids before 4 p.m. are available on select days and cost $1. Tickets are purchased with a corresponding arrival time. A Santa photo session costs $25 in addition to the ticket. Another added expense is the virtual reality sleigh ride experience for $8. For those buying tickets on site, box office hours are noon to 8 p.m. on opening day, Friday, and noon to 8 p.m. all Saturdays, plus December 22nd and 23rd. Otherwise, hours vary, including noon to 6 p.m. December 1st, 8th, and 15th, and 4 to 7 p.m. on December 6th and 13th. The Christmas Factory is not open Monday through Thursday, with the exception of Adult Night on December 19th, and December 23rd is the final day. And that one story is the news. That is the haunt industry news for the week. So yeah, that sounds awesome. In all honesty, I wish I lived closer to Canton, and I would definitely go check it out. Canton's a little more towards Cleveland. I'm closer down by I'm in Dayton by Cincinnati and Kentucky. So yeah, it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive. So like I said, that's it for haunt industry news. Let's go ahead and move over to horror movie news. There's a few more stories for this, but nothing major. That's kind of what's annoying me a little bit. Not really annoying, but it's kind of weird that there's nothing really going on. But bah humbug! Vandal smashes Ebenezer Scrooge's tombstone used in a Christmas Carol movie. From London, if life imitates art, a vandal in the English countryside may be haunted by the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Police in the town of Shrewsbury are investigating how a tombstone that marked the fictional grave of Ebenezer Scrooge was destroyed. The movie prop used in the 1984 adaptation of A Christmas Carol was kept in place and became a tourist attraction. Town clerk Helen Ball said the town is discussing what should be done to fix or replace the stone that is hugely popular with residents and visitors. This time of year, organized tours of locations used in the movie visit the grounds of St. Chad's Church to see the marker. There's not much to see other than broken bits of the gravestone, Ball told the Associated Press. Uh, you can't see you can't see that it says Ebenezer Scrooge at the moment because it's so damaged. It's hugely disrespectful. The film, one of dozens of adaptations of the Charles Dickens classic, starred George C. Scott as the cold-hearted curmudgeon, and after going to sleep on Christmas Eve, Scrooge is visited by the ghosts of past, present, and future, and shown the error of his ways to become a kinder, more generous person. The future ghost shows Scrooge what will become of his life if he doesn't change. He's eventually led to a cemetery where the ghost brushes snow from a gravestone that reveals his name, Scrooge. Distraught by all he's seen, he vows to turn his life around. I don't know why you needed to put that in there. I don't know anybody who hasn't seen or doesn't know the story of A Christmas Carol. West Mercia police said the stone was vandalized sometime between Thursday and Sunday. Photos showed it broken into several pieces. If the vandal is caught, Ball said she wouldn't mind seeing poetic justice served. I I don't know what she means by that. Oh, here it is. If the ghosts of past, present, and future would like to visit the vandals in the middle of the night and drop them and break them in pieces, I think that would be a perfect punishment, she said. Damn. So yeah, that essentially somebody went and broke Ebenezer Scrooge's tombstone in this grave, and I guess it was a movie prop back in 1984 when they made the George C. Scott version, and um, I guess they left it there. So yeah, it's kind of That's kind of messed up. It's kind of messed up. Moving on though, following yesterday's news that Damien Leone's slasher sequel Terrifier 3 was returning to United Kingdom and Irish cinemas, Cineverse and Bloody Disgusting have announced that the festive bloodbath will also be re-released in US theaters to celebrate the Christmas season. In partnership with Iconic Events Releasing, Terrifier 3 will return to theaters for a limited run starting on Christmas Eve and including Christmas Day. So you can do a Nosferatu double bill with Art the Clown himself. I'm gonna be busy. I don't know if I'm gonna go. I never really go to the movies on Christmas Day. If Jennifer has to work, I might. Because I really want to see Nosferatu. I'm a big fan of the original. The remake was okay, but I'm just a big fan of the original. Officially the highest grossing unrated movie of all time, Terrifier 3 slashed its way across the global box office earlier this year following its October release, scaring up a huge $88 million off of a $2 million budget. Starring David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown and Lauren Lavera as final girl Sienna Shaw, Terrifier 3 also saw Samantha Scafford and Elliot Fullman returning as Victoria Hayes and Sienna's little brother Jonathan, respectively. After surviving Art the Clown's Halloween massacre, Sienna and her brother are struggling to rebuild their shattered lives. As the holiday season approaches, they try to embrace the Christmas spirit and leave the horrors of the past behind. But just when they think they're safe, Art the Clown returns, determined to turn their holiday cheer into a new nightmare. The festive season quickly unravels as Art unleashes his twisted brand of terror, proving that no holiday is safe. Terrifier 3 also boasted appearances from visual effects legend Tom Savini, Jason Patrick from The Lost Boys, Antonella Rose from Fear the Walking Dead, Chris Fox, or Kersey Fox, from Little Bites, Clint Howard, Ice Cream Man, John Abrams, House of Wax, and finally Daniel Roebuck from Final Destination as Santa Claus. So yeah, that's Terrifier 3 was good. I enjoyed Terrifier 3. It's bloody, it's gory. I know a lot of the people who don't like gore aren't gonna like it, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll go see it in theaters again. Just because I really want to go see Nosferatu. So that's going to be like higher on my list than going to see Terrifier 3 again. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Quick news, not really horror movie related, but the Harry Potter TV series will be filmed in the same studio that the films were made in. And apparently, there's been over 32,000 kids that have already auditioned for the roles of Harry, Hermione, and Ron. So yeah, that's still a big thing going on there. That TV series, I'm hoping. I enjoyed Harry Potter. I enjoyed reading the books and everything. I'm hoping that they do a better job sticking to the books for the TV series than they did for the movies. That was one of the only negative things I can say about the Harry Potter movies is especially that final battle with him and Voldemort. I wish they would have done it like the book because I was on the edge of my seat while reading the book while those two were doing their thing. Moving on, let's see if I can find this article. What's this one? All right, here we go. So Friday, December 6th, that is today, we have 11 new horror movies that were just released, either in theater or on VHS this week. One day after Krampusnacht, it is now officially the Feast of St. Nicholas, aka St. Nicholas Day, and the horror genre is delivering big time with 11 brand new movies today. First off, hold on to your butthole. There's a new killer dino flick in town. Well Go USA has released their horror comedy Invisible Raptor in select theaters and on digital outlets today. I had known nothing about this movie, but when you tell me to hold on to my butthole, I'm right there, right there to get it. In the film, after a top secret experiment goes wrong, a hyper intelligent invisible raptor escapes the lab and begins wreaking havoc in the surrounding neighborhood. When the creature's identity is uncovered, it soon becomes clear that a disgraced paleontologist, alongside of his girlfriend, an unhinged amusement park security guard, and a local celebrity chicken farmer, is the town's only hope for surviving the raptor's ravenous rampage. Mike Hermosa directs The Invisible Raptor, which was written by Mike Capes and Johnny Wickham. Mike Capes, David Shackelford, Caitlin McHugh, Stamos, Sandy Martin, Bobby Gilchrist, Richard Reel, and Sean Astin star in the Dynamite horror comedy. That Werewolves movie came out in theaters today. I know it's a limited release because we don't have that here. I haven't seen it anywhere here in Dayton. Anywhere that's playing it in Dayton. So check that one out. Why that A24's disaster comedy Y2K is not playing in theaters. I haven't seen much about that one either. What else do we got? Yeah, I mean, there's Nick Frost has a new movie. He's the big dude from Shaun of the Dead. He's Sean's friend, basically. He's been in a lot of movies. He's really good. I like him, so I'll probably end up watching it. In a movie called described as a comedic slasher getaway from director Stephen Haar's this year's Crazy House, was released into theaters by IFC Films beginning today, December 6th. And from what we understand, Getaway will slash into Shudder in 2025. Written written by and starring Nick Frost, the film follows a family on their summer vacation to a remote island where they discover a serial killer is on the loose. Unfortunately for them, locals have no interest in helping the stranded family. Frost said in a statement, "I'm thrilled Getaway has found a home at IFC Films and Shudder, alongside the constant support and collaboration of Wayward Entertainment and the gangs at XYZ. It's such a good fit and a real relief knowing that Getaway is in such safe hands. I can't wait for you to finally see it in theaters." Again, it's not here. How to Kill Monsters, another one that came out this week. An Amy Adams movie called Night Bitch has been unleashed on the theaters. I think the catch is I am a woman, I am an animal, I Am Night Bitch. It's rated R for language and some sexuality. The darkly comic horror film was directed by Marielle Heller. Night Bitch tells the story of a woman thrown into the stay-at-home routine of raising a toddler in the suburbs, who slowly embraces the feral power of deeply rooted in motherhood. She becomes increasingly aware of the bizarre and undeniable signs that she may be turning into a canine. A comedy for women, a horror movie for men. F. Mary, Dating as Hell and Lionsgate comedy thriller F. Mary Kill, which sees a woman caught in an actual murder case when she dates 3 men at once. In the film, when true crime junkie Ava Vaughn, or am I supposed to be Vaughn, played by Lucy Hale, is shoved into the dating app world by her besties on her 30th birthday, she suddenly finds herself at the center of a real life murder case. As new details about the murders are revealed on her favorite podcast, she realizes that one of the 3 men she's dating could be the infamous Swipe Right Killer. So that sounds funny. The End is out this week with Tilda Swinton. That looks like a artsy fartsy one. Yeah, it's got Tilda. I see her right there, Tilda Swinton. Hyun Moon Soap's Devil's Stay. I am probably butchering that name, and I apologize. Is out. You Are Not Me, a Spanish thriller, is out. Heretics from Asylum. Wow, Asylum put a movie out again. I didn't even heard that name in a while. In the movie from director Jose Prendes, recovered footage documents the horror of a group of teens who break into the abandoned Simmons house. What begins as a thrill-seeking adventure turns into a nightmare as they discover a dark cult intent on sacrificing them one by one. The movie stars Eric Roberts, Neely Dayan, and J.J. Fetch. And that's all the movies that are coming out this week. Trying to see if there's anything else. There is not really, so yeah, like I said, it's the end of the year, so there's of course not going to be any haunt news this time of year because everybody's, all the ones who are staying open for Christmas, or like with Hell's Dungeon will be open for Valentine's Day in February. It's everybody's focused on getting the Christmas horror set up in that. Other than that, before we take our break, because again, I know we're a day late, we're gonna talk about the history and the origin of Krampus and Krampusnacht. Krampusnacht, of course, was last night. And that's also why we're watching Krampus movie this week. Krampusnacht, of course, is a traditional holiday that comes to us from Bavaria, kind of like a Bavaria, the Alpine region of Eastern Europe, like with Germany, Austria, um, and around like that area. So I've got an article here. I'm going to read this article real quick from the Smithsonian magazine. The origin of Krampus, Europe's evil twist on Santa. The mythical holiday beast is once again on the prowl, but beware, he's making his way across the Atlantic. This article was written in 2015. A mangled, deranged face with bloodshot eyes tops a furry black body. Giant horns curl up from his head, displaying his half-goat, half-demon lineage. Behind this terror, a dozen more stomp through the snow of the streets of Linz, Austria. Among a din of cowbell jangles, the creatures dash through the streets, chasing giggling children and adults alike, poking them with sticks and scaring them with some with the realization that they were naughty this year. Lien's annual Krampus parade, also known as, this is going to be fun, Perchtenlauf or Klaubauf, Klaubafe. I'm not German, guys. Sorry. Resurrects a centuries old tradition. Young men in town dress up as the mythical creature and parade through the streets in an ancient pagan ritual meant to disperse the winter's ghosts. They march dressed in fur suits and carved wooden masks, carrying cowbells. The tradition, also known as Krampuslauf or Krampus Run, is having a resurgence throughout Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, and has gained recognition in the United States. The creature has become so popular in recent times that he has a comic book series, parties of his own, and even a new movie. He's got a bunch of there's a ton of Krampus movies. After all, says Jamie Segers, organizer of Krampusnacht Festival, being held for the first time in Orlando, Florida, why watch out when Santa Claus comes to town? Because Krampus is coming to get you. Krampus himself historically comes around the night of December 5th, tagging along with St. Nicholas. He visits houses all night with his saintly pal, while St. Nick is on hand to put candy in the shoes of good kids and birch twigs in the shoes of the bad. Krampus's particular specialty is punishing naughty children. Legend has it that throughout the Christmas season, misbehaved kids are beaten with birch branches and can disappear, stuffed into Krampus's sack and hauled off to his lair to be tortured or eaten. The Krampus is the yin to Saint Nick's yang, Segers tells Smithsonian.com. You have the saint, you have the devil. It taps into a subconscious macabre desire that a lot of people have that is the opposite of saccharine Christmas a lot of us grew up with. In fact, Krampus's roots have nothing to do with Christmas. Instead, they date back to pre-Germanic paganism in the region. His name originates with the German Krampen, which means claw. And tradition has it that he is the son of the Norse god of the underworld, Hel. During the 12th century, the Catholic Church attempted to banish Krampus celebrations because of his resemblance to the devil. More eradication attempts followed in 1934 at the hands of Austria's conservative Christian Social Party, but none of it held, and Krampus emerged as a much feared and beloved holiday force. For some, the annual festival of child hunting, Krampus, is fun, but concerns that refugees in the Alpine towns that celebrate Krampus could find the tradition frightful has prompted some towns to consider taming the horror. This year, Krampus' scheduled arrival in the Alpine towns that celebrate him coincides with an influx of refugees from Syria and Afghanistan. Again, this was written over 10 years ago. Throughout the festival, though the festival is well loved, it gave rise to concerns that the new neighbors might be scared off of the tradition and its nightmare-fueling costumes. Rather than canceling the parade, town officials decided to educate the newcomers. The Telegraph's Rosina Sabur writes that refugee children in Lienz were invited to a presentation where they learned about the props, costumes, and customs of Krampus. Sagers likes the idea of introducing Krampus to refugees in Austria. I don't really want to talk about. Well, crap. um. So basically, dating back over 2,000 years, the Krampus has gained popularity worldwide in recent years. Since the Middle Ages, Krampusnacht has been celebrated by revelers dressing up as Krampus, wandering the streets, or participating in parades in alpine towns in a rite known as the Krampuslauf or Krampus Run. This is something that's also celebrated in. It's celebrating here. I know Columbus has a big German population. Ohio in general has a really big German population. Honestly, my wife, her ancestry is actually German. They have there's definitely some German restaurants here that serve some really amazing food. Um, that I enjoy. Uh, okay, here we go. Here's a little more information on it. So December 5th is Krampusnacht, or the Night of the Krampus. In countries like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Krampus is part of the holiday, the traditional holiday observances as horned creature that has become associated with Saint Nicholas as a figure that will punish bad children, while Saint Nicholas rewards those who have been good. So dating back over 2,000 years, the Krampus has gained popularity worldwide in recent years. Since the Middle Ages, Krampusnacht has been celebrated by revelers. We already read all this. In the Quad Cities, Krampus and Krampusnacht have gained in popularity thanks in part to an increased love of horror films and the like. The German American Heritage Center has hosted a workshop to make Krampus masks complete with a performer dressed as Krampus. Um, so yeah, basically it's a really interesting legend. The actual story, I don't have time to go through the actual story, like the actual legend in that. But yeah, the actual legend does revolve around him kidnapping children. Um, Krampusnacht food, though. That's what I wanted to talk to. Basically one of the biggest parts of traditions and legends and things like that. Especially when you're talking about regional legends or um, traditions and things like that. Of course, is the food. German does have some really amazing food if you like sausage and pork and things like that. Um, but traditional Krampusnacht food and drink. Expect to see tables laden with hearty stews and roasted meats and warming drinks. Think of rich beef goulash, slow por- slow roasted pork with a crackling skin, and plates piled high with dumplings. These are foods that stick to your ribs, providing comfort and warmth against the December chill. Spiced glühwein, hot mulled wine, and potent schnapps also play a significant role, offering a fiery counterpoint to the icy air. Baked goods, often spiced with cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg, are also common, offering a touch of sweetness to balance the savory dishes. Um, Gingerbread, yeah, traditional gingerbread cookies, while often associated with Christmas, can also make an appearance during Krampusnacht. These cookies can be shaped into Krampus figures, adding a playful, albeit slightly menacing, touch to the festive treats. Think of it as a delicious way to acknowledge the darker side of the holiday season. Now, let me see if I can get this uploaded real quick. This won't take long at all. So that's what your traditional Krampusnacht table would look like. That is some really good looking food right there. I'm fat, so what to eat during Krampusnacht. While traditional dishes remain popular, modern interpretations of Krampusnacht food are also emerging. Those often incorporate local and seasonal ingredients with a focus of creating unique flavor combinations that reflect the spirit of the festival. I'm a traditionalist. I want traditional food. Think roasted root vegetables with a hint of smoked paprika. So you're talking like your potatoes and things like that. Venison stew with dark chocolate and juniper berries. I do like venison. I do like eating deer. Or even Krampus shaped pretzels dusted with black salt. Krampus not food, it offers a delicious and intriguing exploration of the darker side of Christmas traditions, from hearty stews to spiced baked goods. The culinary offerings reflect, the duality of the festival, providing both comfort and a touch of fear. Whether you stick to traditional dishes or explore modern interpretations, Krampusnacht is a time to indulge in the rich flavors and festive atmosphere of the season. Whether you've been naughty or nice, there's a place for you at the Krampus table. So yeah, it's also a holiday that promotes togetherness. It's kind of like their Thanksgiving almost, with a different backstory. So yeah, so that's your Krampus legend and everything, and the legend, the stories and everything. So let's go ahead and we're gonna take our break a little early today because when we come back, we're gonna tackle Krampus Unleashed, and as I've said before, be prepared. There will be a lot of yelling by the end of this movie. So guys, we'll be back in a couple of minutes with Krampus Unleashed. Stick around.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Your King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And just like that, we're back. Welcome again to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am returned as your host, Sewer Dweller, and we are doing Krampus Unleashed to celebrate Krampusnacht. Let's see, there it is. Krampus Unleashed was released in 2016. Excuse me. It was written and directed by Robert Conway. I think I looked him up earlier. Yeah, he doesn't have he produces, writes, and directs most of his own movies from the looks of it. Previously, he's directed Lynch back in 2004, which was a short redemption. Big into cowboys, it looks like, at least his first couple movies. Exit the Hell, The Encounter, Krampus, The Reckoning, Krampus Unleashed, Breakdown Lane, The Covenant, Skinwalker, and most recently a movie called Hellhounds. He also wrote all those and produced a lot of them as well. The movie stars Amelia Brantley as Bonnie. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you go to their IMDb page, there's a lot of people on here with no headshots. But Amelia Brantley, I mean, she's up there. She's pretty good. Young and the Restless, one episode, 2 episodes of The Lincoln Lawyer, Krampus Unleashed, of course, Animal Kingdom, 1 episode. A lot of smaller parts. She was on 2.5 Men as a beautiful woman. So that was her role in 2010. Beautiful woman on 2.5 Men. And she's a looker. I'll give it to her. She was a looker. We have Bryson Hall as Tommy. He's not gonna have much because he's a kid. He was a kid. Which he really doesn't. He's 6 items. He's only done 3 things since Krampus and nothing I've ever heard of. Caroline Lassiter as Fiona. Again, very young at the time. She's only done one other thing since Krampus Unleashed, and that was one movie called a short called Dark Dignity, and she was just Camp D member. Taylor Buckley as Troy. This dude did a very good job because he annoyed the absolute piss out of me. Which it was the intention. It was the intention. Tim Sauer as Will, Emily Lynn Aiken as Amber, Daniel Link as Dave, Tori Glaw Osborne as Vivian, Michael Harrelson as Dale Henderson. Okay, kind of messed that one up. Okay, there it is. Michael Harrelson, 71 item, even as 71 things. Credits, that is, as an actor, going all the way back till 2006. Going through, nothing really jumps off the page as anything I would have heard of. A lot of independent movies, which is fine. The Abduction and Trial of George Bush, Dead in 5 Heartbeats, Cathedral Canyon, Sinister Visions, Exit the Hell, Krampus the Reckoning. So he was in the original Krampus, the one before that. He played Santa Claus. Again, nothing jumps off. Krampus Origins. He likes playing Krampus movies, I'll tell you that one. Linda Kushma as Alice, and Travis Amory as Krampus. There's a couple of other bit part players in here. I'm not going to go through them, but he's not really been in much. He's been in mostly cinematography, it looks like. He's mostly a cinematographer. Krampus Unleashed and Krampus the Reckoning are the only 2 movies he's actually acted in. In Krampus the Reckoning, he was not Krampus, he was Nurse Travers. So like I said, the movie came out in 2016. It was put out by Uncorked Entertainment. Let's see. Came out November 1st, 2016. We'll get to all this later on. Funhouse Features and Triple G Production are your production companies. So, guys, without further ado, let's get started with Krampus Unleashed, and I will give you, again, volume warning. I'm going to be yelling by the end of this. So, the movie opens up with words. Let's see if I can do a voice. The year was 1898, and the West was still wild. Okay, keep this in mind. This sounds like the beginning of this movie was filmed, and it actually looks like it, filmed in 1898. Well over 130 years ago. Having terrorized the American South for the better part of a decade, a German-born outlaw was running out of time. With the law closing in, he buried his loot in the desert. Before disappearing into the fog of legend, he left behind a warning. To those who would follow my trail, take heed. Stay clear of what's been buried, for whomever disturbs it will reap the vengeance of the inferno and bring a living hell onto themselves. Eric Klaus, 1898. So we now open up the film with more words. Years have passed, and unaware of this warning, a group of fortune hunters are closing in on what they hope will be a king's ransom in outlaw loot. According to their information, the treasure is buried on a hilltop in the central Arizona desert. And then we finally open on a bald man with a very manly beard, walking along holding a lantern, and he has a gun on his hip like you would in the Old West. Like exactly what they do in old Western movies, hanging down low enough so they can just, draw when they need to draw. He hears a sound and draws his weapon, asking if anybody is there, and if they are, they should make themselves known before he lights them up. So just two more men walk out from the brush, and he breathes a sigh of relief and holsters his pistol. The older of the two tells Harvey that he's a bit jumpy, or asks him if he's a bit jumpy. Harvey, I guess, is the bald guy with the beard. He tells him they're lucky he didn't blow their heads off. Harvey tells him that two others had been up there with the Kraut all day, so I assume no. Yeah, it's not written very well. I'm not gonna lie, guys. He doesn't actually answer. Like they ask him, I guess, what the news or what's going on or something, or they found it yet is essentially what they ask. He doesn't actually answer the question though, as he tells the new guys that he's starting to think that this whole thing is a waste of time. He thinks if there was something there, they would have found it by now, or else it's long gone. Harvey thinks the Kraut is leading them on a goose chase. And apparently the Kraut they have used to run with the Klaus Younger crew, a bunch of old crazy Germans that robbed every bank and stagecoach from here to Texas. If this is where he says Eric Klaus buried his loot, then that's the older guy. That's what I think his name was Clay. I think the older guy's name ended up being Clay. But Clay basically says if this is where Eric Klaus buried his loot, then the German guy, it's worth looking into. Harvey doesn't agree, so they walk into the dark where we cut to three guys just digging a random hole. There's an older Native American guy standing there holding a lantern, and then two guys digging. One of the diggers, Ben, tells him that this is the fifth hole he's dug today and nothing. He is also on Team Waste. He's also on Team Waste of Time with Harvey, as an old German guy starts rambling on about something that even his gang didn't understand what he was saying. There are no subtitles in this movie either, guys. So bear with me on that one. Harvey asks what he said, and Ben says nothing friendly, that's for sure. So the German guy says something about if they dig any more, they'd be to China by now. Ben teases the German guy a bit, and they almost come to blows, actually. Like, they're really about to fight. The Native American just basically he's banging the shovel around in the dirt in the hole, and Ben still doesn't think there's any Kraut gold down there. And they tell him that if he leave, basically Clay tells him if you leave, you lost your share. And you leave and we find this shit, you're not getting any. Ben doesn't care, as he and the German guy talk shit as the native hits something, talk shit to each other, pushing and shoving again. And it's a small box wrapped in a chain, and they think they have found their treasure. They open the box to just find some old rags. Ben says doesn't that just beat all? Eric Klaus's treasure is just his dirty underwear. So now they let us know that Yeah, I already wrote that. Never mind. Let's skip that part. Clay keeps going through the box, and he finds this large black rock. It almost looks like onyx, honestly. Ben doesn't think it's anything, but Clay tells him there's some writing on it. And the German guy reads the writing and says it's ancient German. He tells them that stones like this have appeared since the dawn of time, and when they appear, they bring pure evil with them. He tells them that it's a summoning stone, and Harvey says it looks like a piece of coal to him. The German says yes, just like the coal, but coal put into the shoes of those who were cursed and who angered the old gods. Ben pretty much calls bullshit, and the German guy says Saint Nicholas himself possessed just such a stone. He stole it from the pagans and would send it to his enemies and those who wouldn't convert, on or those who opposed him. Ben's basically, oh, you mean Santa Claus? The German begs Clay to put it back. And Ben says cursed stone, Santa Claus, and Ben tries to take the stone, and everybody starts fighting over it. Someone kicks the lantern over, and of course they drop the stone straight into the fire. The stone kind of like ignites or gets hot and starts glowing. And the Native American asks if that means it's worth something. And the German guy basically just says, no, it kind of means we're all dead. So the German guy calls them stupid fools and says you've awakened him. Ben asks who, and the German guy tells him Krampus. Ben says bullshit, and then we hear this guttural growl from the distance. The men draw their weapons, and the German guy calls them stupid again and says that they have damned them. They decide to hightail it, leaving the stone behind, except for Ben, who grabs the stone as everybody else runs away. And then we get this weird, shitty, blurry Predator-style shot where you remember how, like, when it was on the Predator, you could see from his point of view. Well, this is a very shaky, blurry style shot like that. As Krampus appears and just basically rips Harvey's intestines out. Clay tells the others to run and fires a couple of shots at Krampus, which really doesn't do anything but piss him off. The youngest of the group runs off as Clay runs out of bullets and tries to basically grab some off the ground. I guess he dropped or whatever. But he gets stomped out by Krampus. The German is running away, and Krampus appears in front of him and just basically rips his throat out, just like does the swipe, and his throat's ripped out. Cut to Ben running away with the stone, and he stops by a stream and starts drinking water. Like, dude, if you're trying to get the fuck away, why are we drinking water, rubbing it on our head and stuff like that? Ben finally looks over and notices that the stone is glowing. He turns around and drops the stone into the water as Krampus starts ripping his heart out. Fade to black. Now we get our title screen and a really weird version of Let It Snow. So we never really we never really saw what happened to the youngest guy of the group, nor what happened to after the stone was dropped into the water. Like, it's pretty much that's it, guys. There you go. We come back from the opening credits and we're in a Jeep Patriot with a family of 4 driving through the desert. Dad says, according to the nav system, and God, I hate people that say nav system. That they're almost there, basically, according to the basically to the GPS. Mom asks the son if he's okay, and he gives the depressed, yeah, I'm fine. And that's when Mom presses the issue a little bit, and he says, it's just weird, and it doesn't really feel like Christmas this year. She smiles, and she basically tells him a lot of places don't have snow at Christmas. She asks if he's excited to see his grandparents, and he basically snaps back at her, kind of, that he doesn't even remember them. She says his cousin Troy will be there, and the kid says he hates Troy. And I mean, he's basically not just like, I hate Troy. It's no, fuck that guy. He's a dick. I don't like him. Well, that's how he basically kind of said it. But all he actually said was, I don't like Troy. Dad gets annoyed and says we don't hate anyone. Tommy says he always messes with me, and then the daughter basically that's when her cue to take out her earbud to chime in that he's a little pervert as well, and that last year when he came to visit them, she caught him trying to take pictures of her through the window. Dad says, "Well, that's not good." And no, Dad, that isn't good. Mom tells him it's been a year since we last saw our brother and his family. Maybe Troy's grown up a little bit. Spoiler alert. No, he hasn't. He's a dick. Dad says, here's hoping we can say the same about your brother, too. And the brother's a little annoying. I'm not going to lie. This kind of makes Mom mad, and we keep driving. We arrive at the grandparents' house, and Grandma comes out, hugs the mom and kids. Grandpa Dale walks out, asks how was their flight, and the dad says, better than the drive. Dale offers to build him a landing strip for next time, and his wife, the grandma, gives him shit before he tells her, "What? We ain't got enough land." I just now noticed that the girl is wearing or Fiona, basically. Fiona's the girl, the teenage girl. She's wearing a hashtag T-shirt, and now I hate her. Inside, basically they go into to the house. It's supposed to be a big mansion, and there's very little Christmas decorations up. Outside, basically they got a tree and a couple of poinsettias. That's their idea of decorating for Christmas. Tommy gets to stay. Basically, Tommy gets to sleep with Troy in the sunroom, and Grandma leads the girls away. Basically, Mom and Dad get to sleep in Mom's old room when she had grown when she was growing up. Tommy is mesmerized by all the dead animals on the heads on the wall. Dale tells them that they just met Blackfoot. It's a pretty large head of a mountain lion. It's fake as hell, but Dale calls him a man-eater and tells them that he first encountered Blackfoot when he was about Will's age, and that if you look closely, you can still see the look of hunger in his eyes. Dale says once an animal gets the taste of man, he goes crazy for it. Dale says across the valley is Roger's ranch and Blackfoot, got the taste for old man Roger's cows. So old man Rogers and his son decided to put Blackfoot down, and they tracked him until nightfall, where they made camp. And it was that night that Blackfoot eviscerated 3 men. Dale says you couldn't tell where one body ended and another began. Dale says it was all luck that helped him take out Blackfoot. He says it took more than 6 rounds from his .308 to take him down. Dale says when the animal gets the hunger, he becomes more than a beast. He becomes stronger, faster, and smarter. And if you were to get the drop on him, it's because he let you. And I wrote down, I think this might come into play later. We'll see. We cut to a market that is clearly something entirely different. Like, it's not a real market. It's obviously like someone's storage room or something because it's cluttered. Shit's everywhere. But the guy picks up a 6-pack from the shelf. Not from the cooler, from the shelf. And now we meet Roger. Stan, the store owner, asks, or he basically knows him and asks if he found the big one. He tells Stan that the tracks went scarce near Clayton's Pass. The owner tells him, well, you keep on looking, you'll find them eventually. And a woman comes around the corner telling Sam to stop encouraging this nonsense. Basically, Roger Roger is a Bigfoot hunter. But Roger shows her some pictures and asks, what does it look like to you? And she says, blurry nonsense. I laughed. And now we cut to Amber's brother Dave and his family, including little shithead Troy. He says Dave says the fuel light came on and that he was hoping to make it all the way before they ran out of gas. He's driving a Prius, and they've been driving 600 miles without having to stop for gas. Dave pulls into the same shop from a few minutes ago. And he goes to pay for the gas with a card, and the owner basically says, "Yeah, cash only." Excuse me. Yeah, he tells him cash only. Apparently, they do have an ATM machine though, but just like the bathroom, it's broken. So he goes outside to try to get cash from his wife, and she isn't comfortable being there because a guy keeps staring at her. Like, she locked the doors when Dave went to pay. Dave says take it as a compliment, and now we cut to behind the shop where the Bigfoot hunter is showing something off to another guy, and in the background, basically Troy's having a piss. Roger apparently has found a footprint in the dirt, not solid, and tells Terry it's from the mother lode. Now, I wrote in the dirt and not solid because it was in the dirt. It was like a really tiny, small footprint. And everyone that I know a guy who's been on Travel Channel and he's been on Discovery ID and things like that as a Bigfoot hunter. And he would have never considered that evidence because it's, just on the dirt. Wind could blow it away or anything like that. They talk to Troy about Sasquatch, and Troy doesn't understand what he's saying. And Terry tells him, well, we're talking about Bigfoot. Troy laughs at him, and we cut back to the car, and Dave has found $20 to put in the tank out of his wife's purse. Meanwhile, Troy is now in the back filming the Bigfoot hunters as they try to triangulate where the prints they found. Troy is still laughing at him, as now we learn that he's actually not recording them with their permission, but on his own benefit, which pisses Roger off. Roger tells Troy to leave, and Troy says to make him. And God, I wish he would have. Dave pulls up and tells him, let's go. Tells Troy, let's go, and Troy doesn't want to leave because the rednecks are getting mad, and that's when the viewers show up. Dave comments on the car Will is driving as they pull their Prius into the driveway. Basically calls it a gas guzzler. Sorry about that. Basically, Dave is your climate, your climate change. Not really a protester, but he'll lecture you on climate change. He'll lecture you on like the commercialism of Christmas and things like that. Like he's basically a straight up douche. He's a douche canoe in every bit of the word. Dave comments on the car Will is driving as they pull their Prius into the driveway. The wife tells him it's probably a rented car since they flew in from Atlanta. And he makes a couple of, comments about the Will's carbon footprint. And I realize that this family hates each other. So a normal family. Mom goes outside to greet Dave and his family as the wife has to force Troy out of the car. And I just really want to hit this kid. Indoors, Will and Tommy are sitting on the couch, dreading the idea of more family being around. And we cut outside where everyone is doing the comment. They're basically like, "Hey, how's it going? How's life? Oh, he's 17 now." All that. The usual shit families do when they get together. And Dave asks Tommy if he remembers his cousin Troy, who is right now filming Fiona's ass. Dave tells Troy to put the phone away and enjoy the family time. And we get more family awkwardness before cutting inside. Dave's wife is trying to make, basically Dave's wife, Alice, and Amber are all in the kitchen. And Alice and Amber are making dinner. And Dave's wife, who I believe is Vivian, tries to make small talk as she's drinking wine. And Bonnie and Alice do the cooking. Again, the only decoration I see is a poinsettia sitting on the counter. Troy walks in, opens the fridge, and basically just rummages through it in a minute and pulls a sandwich out. And Vivian tells him that, your aunt and grandmother are kind of working on a nice meal right now. Do you really think it's a good idea for you to eat that? And Troy just looks, when she says that they're working hard on a meal for him, Troy just looks and goes, good for them? And I really want to hit this kid. Amber apologizes and uses the typical excuse for his behavior of, oh, he's in a phase. No, fuck you. Your kid's a dick. In the living room, Troy basically goes and sits on the couch next to Fiona, like literally way too close. To where if this wasn't a movie, Fiona probably would have gotten up and walked away because it was way too close. Dave comes out and asks what they're watching while taking a seat between Will and Tommy. And Dave goes into a speech, like I said, about Christmas and commercialization. And shut the fuck up, Dave. He then comments about how when he was growing up, he never came into this room of murder because of all the animal heads on the wall. And Will is basically just like, yeah, that's cool. Will you please shut the fuck up? Yeah, because Will doesn't give two shits about Dave when he starts his political talk and that. Tommy looks and sees it. Basically, they see a gold nugget in a jar on the bookcase. And Tommy asks if it's real. Will says probably, but don't touch. So immediately Troy gets up, takes the gold out of the case. Because fuck you, Troy. He asks how much the gold is. Troy asks how much the gold is worth, and Dave says gold is worth $20 per ounce, and that's easily 20 to 30 ounces. So, and Will cuts him off and says that gold is trading for more like $1,800 per ounce. So let's take a look real quick. Let's see. Per ounce, right now, as of today, gold is $2,647.16 per ounce. So Troy is going to steal that. That's what I wrote down. I wrote down that Troy is totally going to steal that. Dave says that Dale found gold in a creek on his property, and he offers to take the boys out to teach them how to pan for gold. But Will doesn't like the idea. LOL. What? I know that guy, guys. Don't worry about it. I know him. But Will doesn't think it's a good idea. Peer pressure wins as Will says they have plenty of time before dinner. Or Dave says they have plenty of time before dinner. My fault. We now cut to a police station for some reason as a deputy talks to dispatcher Fran, asking what her horoscope says today. Fran says you will spend another Christmas Eve alone in a dispatcher station. The deputy says it's not that bad. And hey, we can sing Christmas carols to each other through the radio. So I had to point this out. The police station is more decorated up than the house at the center of the movie. Like the movie, the family's movie, or the family's house isn't decorated up at all. But the police station's got like trees and lights and everything like that. Why would you spend more money to decorate the police station and not the house? She asks him how his little lady is going to feel about him working the Christmas Eve shift, and basically, I call him. He's really like a trooper, but I call him Deputy Dan the rest of the movie. So basically, he's like, yeah, she kind of just moved the rest of her stuff out of the house last week, and yeah, there's a little bit more back and forth between the dispatcher and deputy that literally have nothing else to do with the movie. He takes a cookie for the road, and she tells him to watch out for reindeer turds. Yep. 30 minutes into the movie, and the only thing that has happened so far is the opening sequence that lasted less than 5 minutes. Yeah. So now the boys have all arrived at the creek, and Troy is whining like a little bitch. Even Dave tells him it wasn't even half a mile. Get your, what the fuck, dude? We now get to watch as everyone but Troy, who has now walked away, pans for gold, and it's not even a regular like the sifter, where you scoop up the dirt, shake it, and it's supposed to fall into something with the water, wiping the mud away, and yeah, it's just a pan. It's like a pie pan. Um, but Troy has walked away. They start doing it, or Dave starts to teach Tommy how to pan for gold when he stops and like just like sniffs the air, and he asks Will if he smells something, and Will's like, no. So apparently Troy is smoking again. Dave goes running off. We hear Troy and Dave start arguing about whether he's smoking or not. And from behind, a random woman shows up and offers to teach them how to pan. Okay. She introduces herself as Bonnie. Dave Dave shows back up and introduces himself to Bonnie, and we can still hear Troy complaining about being fucking bored, and then gets distracted by the fact that he basically shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm fucking bored," and hello, because Bonnie's tits are pretty much all wide open on full cleavage. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I want to go to the one in Columbus. We have one in Columbus every year that is pretty cool, actually. It seems pretty cool. I've seen videos of it and that, and I just haven't gotten up there. It's kind of hard. I love my wife to death, but it's kind of hard to get her to go do things sometimes. So, especially the kid too. It's really hard to get my kid off of his video game without whining for 3 hours. Um, but yeah, like it's her cleavage is like there. Like she bends over to help with the panning, and it's like, here you go, guys. It's almost as if the shirt she's wearing is like too big for her, honestly. Um, but Troy basically just he does the creepy whole, how are you doing? And Bonnie gives him the side eye. She's like, I'm doing good. And the side eye is like, dude, you're a teenager, right? Like, I'm not doing anything with you. Um, Dave breaks the awkwardness as he mentions that dinner is almost ready. Then Troy breaks the silence by saying that was one sweet piece of ass. David yells about him talking about women like that, and Tommy tells him, hold on, because he's found something. Basically, Tommy has now found the summoning stone from earlier. This can't end badly. Dave says, well, it could be onyx, and Troy basically says it's just a rock and it's boring. Okay. They leave, but not before Will tells Tommy he thinks his uncle might be jealous that he found the rock. So, it's now nighttime, and we're following And now we're following Bonnie? We hear a doorbell, and I guess Bonnie, and basically it's the deputy, and I guess Bonnie is the deputy's ex-girlfriend who just moved out. I apologize if you hear dogs barking in the background. The dog's an idiot. Yeah. She tells him that he needs to leave, and the deputy asks her why is he here? And Bonnie does the whole. If you ever broke up with a girl, or you broke up with a guy or a girl, and you're talking about their ex, and you just say, "Well, is he here? He has a name." Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. I know he has a name. I'm not gonna say his name, but fuck you. I know he has a name. And the deputy basically he goes, "Yeah, he does have a name, and he also has a record." And Bonnie just goes, "Are you serious? You did a background check on my new boyfriend?" Well, apparently her new man has a lead foot and has had his license suspended 2 whole times because he doesn't pay his fines. And I am now grasping my pearls because the horror. Having your license suspended because you don't pay the fines isn't that big of a deal because it's really, really, really easy to just go pay your fines and you can go pay your fines and get your license back. That's simple. Bonnie gets a little irritated that Deputy Dan is doing background checks on her new boyfriend, and she tells him to leave. We now cut to Tommy examining his rock on the patio. Troy pops up, and he's just out there coughing, obviously smoking again. And Tommy basically tells Tommy, "Hey, I'm not here, okay? If anybody asks, I'm not here." Troy then asks Tommy why he's so fascinated with that stupid rock. And Tommy says he thinks it's cool, and Troy basically takes the rock. And he sets it down on the patio. Tommy runs away like a bitch as Troy's mom appears, and he sets the rock down, and then he sets the cigarette down right next to it. And she yells about him smoking again, and he claims, "Well, I'm not smoking." She tells him, like, "Dude, I can fucking smell it. It's really not that hard to know you're freaking smoking right now." He shows her his hands to show that he doesn't have a cigarette, and apparently this works because she tells him to come inside to help his father with his laptop. And basically, Troy's like, "Oh, I don't want to do," and I will smack my kid for less than that. But he walks away, leaving the cigarette next to the rock, heating it up. So apparently, it's heat that ignites it, or is it fire in general? Either way, we know something's about to finally happen. So we cut back to Bonnie's place, and it's like a POV shot as we're looking through the blinds from the outside as she strips down to her bra and panties. We cut to see a random guy licking his lips as she strips. And I hate that. I just show him watching. You don't got to show him licking his lips like, "Ooh, I would love that. Eat that." Don't do that. That's stupid. Well, she walks away, and he's like, "Oh, wait, no, what? No more free show?" And then Bonnie appears behind him with a pump-action shotgun pressed against his back. She pushes him against the wall and asks why he's outside of her bathroom window. Puts him against there, like, tries to frisk him, and I guess she goes down to his dick and goes, "Oh, what's this tiny thing?" And of course, it's the new boyfriend. They start making out very loudly, by the way. They move into the kitchen, and they do a little flirty talk as they make out and kiss. And all of a sudden, the oven timer goes off, and he's like, What's that?" And she tells him, "Well, it's the oven timer. Dinner's ready." And he's like, "Well, I really don't want to eat right now. Can we just go?" But Bonnie leaves him with blue balls as she finishes preparing the 2 items in the oven. Now we cut to the Bigfoot hunters from earlier, They're basically just hanging out in the trailer. Terry's the guy with the hat. He's on the outside, and the bald one's inside. That's Roger from. We saw Roger earlier buying the warm beer from the Knot Market. They get excited as they hear a guttural growl in the distance. We now fast forward to the men packing up their truck full of gear, including a 50 caliber rifle. Terry apparently didn't know that Roger wanted to kill Bigfoot. And here's the thing, when you're talking to Bigfoot hunters, you got two types of Bigfoot hunters. One, most of them want to find Bigfoot and prove that he exists. Then there's a group of others, a smaller, more niche group, I guess you would say. And and there's a smaller niche group, and they want to kill Bigfoot. They think you need to kill him. A lot of people who think like that are kind of the type that are, well, if I don't have a dead Bigfoot, no one's going to believe me. And that's essentially what they have a conversation of is, because Terry's like, well, why are we going to kill Bigfoot? What if, the whole reason we can't, that nobody can ever find Bigfoot is because he's the last of his kind. If we kill him, then, the species is extinct. And Roger's like, no, fuck that. I'm tired of being a joke. I'm tired of being, made fun of and mocked. And then Roger goes and tells basically, tells Terry that, it's kind of what Darwin said. And, survival of the fittest. He tells Terry that if he kills Bigfoot, it's part of, that philosophy, because that means I'm more fit than Bigfoot is. So I deserve to live and he deserves to die. Completely misunderstanding Darwin's theory. And basically Roger goes on saying, if we don't bring a Bigfoot back with us, we will keep being a laughing stock. They talk some more, but nothing of merit. And we cut to them speeding off in the truck. So we go back to Bonnie's house now, and the new man is he's sitting. His name is James, by the way. I call her boyfriend. They said his name eventually after, later on. But we go back to Bonnie's house, and James is sitting, and he's in a hot tub, but it's one of those like blow up hot tubs that you can go to like Walmart and buy. I think I bought one. It's awesome. It is still pretty cool, and I think I spent like $400 on it. They're really nice too. Bonnie walks out and he says Merry Christmas to her, and she responds the same. Basically, she goes, Merry Christmas, and she removes her robe, and we get our first boob shot on the show in about a month or so at 41 minutes and 15 seconds into the movie. And she climbs into the hot tub with him, and they start making out. So, of course, we cut back to grandfather's house where Will is washing the dishes. Dale tells him he doesn't have to do that and offers him a drink. Dale pulls out a bottle with some white liquor in it and no label and calls it Dale Henderson's Personal Reserve. Now, for those of us from the South, we know what that is. We know, unless you're really not planning to do anything for the rest of the night, possibly half of tomorrow, you might not want to touch that. Because, of course, it's moonshine. And I don't mean, hey, let's go to Tennessee, or hey, let's go to the liquor store and buy quote-unquote moonshine, apple pie moonshine, or cotton candy moonshine, or any of the flavored moonshines out there. This is that moonshine where nobody's going to tell you who made it for them, because if they did, they'd have to kill you. So Will says, why not? And Dale takes his shot, and Will hesitates, but he drinks it, bottoms up. And he sits there and goes, very good. And just starts choking immediately, coughing immediately, because that shit'll hit you late. And I wrote down that that's the right reaction to drinking your first personal reserve shot of moonshine. Dale, and basically Dale's like, hey, you want another one? And Will just goes, absolutely, I do, yes. So we cut upstairs to Will, Amber and Fiona. They're making a bed, and Fiona's complaining about no cell signal. Now, again, we are like 47 minutes into this movie, and nothing has fucking happened since the beginning. And this movie's only 115 minutes long, guys. Troy walks by and just starts filming Fiona again. Amber yells at him and tells him, go to fucking bed. We cut to Tommy. He's sitting in his cot in the sunroom with. So apparently Troy gets the actual bed and Tommy gets the cot. He's examining the rock, and Troy makes fun of him again, and tells him, Troy basically looks and goes, "Hey, your sister's really hot." Tommy's just like, "Yeah, that's your cousin, right?" And Troy just goes, "So, it's legal in some places." So now we cut to Terry and Roger. They're walking around. They got their guns out. And it looks weird because Roger has this big 50 cal rifle and Terry has a handgun. He has like a 9mm. And this is not how Bigfoot hunters work, by the way. I know Bigfoot hunters. I've talked to them. I've been offered to go on hunts with them and that. I just haven't had a chance. I haven't had the opportunity yet. But I know for a fact that's not how they do it. Roger basically just walking in silence, and Roger just goes, "Keep it down." Terry says, "What?" Roger says, "Keep it down," I said. And Terry just goes, "You were the one talking first, asshole." And it was pretty funny. Roger said, and basically Roger stops and goes, "I can feel him. I can feel him. He's still here." And then all of a sudden you hear, I think you're supposed to, the sound gets a little off around this area. I don't know if their sound guy was just really bad at this, or their equipment went out, or what. But there's no sound, and you're supposed to hear the rustling of a bush, because Roger freaks out, and because he says he saw something in the bushes, and he runs off, and with Terry chasing behind him, you hear a gunshot. Again, it's an obvious fake gunshot, and Roger killed a squirrel. So Terry naturally just starts laughing his ass off, making fun of Roger, basically doing the whole, "Oh, wait till I get back to town, and I'm going to tell everybody how you thought you saw Bigfoot and you went to kill him and you used a 50 cal to kill a squirrel." And then we hear some more growling, and Terry asks, "What was that?" Roger says, "It's getting closer, and it sounds like a stampede." I don't hear shit. I don't hear anything through the movies or through the speakers. Roger and Terry get a little scared and decide it might be time to go back to the truck. We see that predator vision shot again as Krampus basically appears behind him and double noggin knocks him, takes their heads and goes doink. And apparently that's enough to kill Roger and Terry. We now cut back to the hot tub that isn't turned on, by the way. And the post-coital, and basically the two of them are doing their post-coital soak. And I'm talking she's supposed to be climbing off him, but it's like she was sitting from him. The director said action, and she goes, and sits back down in the tub. Which, again, do a better job editing if that's the case. Bonnie goes, I'd rather them just literally be sitting side by side like they just did it. Bonnie decides to go inside as the boyfriend relaxes. And off in the distance, we hear the growl again. James stands up out of the tub, and the sound changes again. We're not hearing it. He looks into the woods and asks if someone there, because, that's the natural thing to do, because the murderer then goes, "Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, give me 1 second. Hold on." It's not going to be the response. We hear the growl again, and Bonnie walks outside to check on James. And as she walks out, you hear the growl again, and a little slight, gust of wind, like a small one, Bonnie looks to the left, and there's Krampus eating James's inside like some sort of zombie. Bonnie screams, she goes inside, grabs her shotgun, and we get a full view of the Krampus walking, and the costume just looks awful. Like, it looks awful. It might not have been so bad if they hadn't shown him walking. Because him walking, it looks like someone awkwardly walking in like a cheap gorilla costume, with basically a different mask on. Bonnie starts shooting, and basically he keeps walking towards her because, again, the bullets are just gonna piss him off. The buckshot in that gun is just gonna piss him off. She screams and goes running, and now we cut back to Tommy and Troy's room where now the rock is glowing. Tommy runs his hands over it, and we can kind of hear like a demonic voice. So naturally, instead of staying with this, we cut to Will and Dale drinking the moonshine. Will is drunk, and all of a sudden, Bonnie starts banging on the door, begging for Dale to let her in. She needs him to call the police. He lets her in, she needs him to call the police, and she just pushes like right past him into the house. She tells him that something just attacked them and killed James. So Alice walks in and goes, Bonnie, why are you just in your bathroom? There's a woman freaking out at your door in middle of the night. Kind of just call the police. That simple. So Bonnie calls 911. Fran is basically leaving the bathroom, because got to get the fart joke in, or the poop joke in. And she tells Fran, basically Fran answers finally. She tells Fran that a creature killed her boyfriend and that she hit it with a ton of buckshot and it didn't do anything to it. She tells Fran to call Trooper Dan, that he's a friend of hers, and Fran basically just rolls her eyes like, all right, here we go. And Dale decides to have a look around himself. And basically, Dale's decided he's going to go outside and have a look around himself. Which, smart idea, sure, yeah. Will offers to go with him, and Dave decides that he's also going to go because he wants to stop them from shooting the first thing that moves. We cut to Fran. She's dispatching Dan to the call. And when she tells him the address, he basically loses his shit, kind of, and he goes flying code 3. Starts panicking. Cut back to Dale and crew. They're just walking around. Dale says he can't see or hear a damn thing. And Will says, well, that's good, right? It's a good sign. Dale goes, no, that's a really bad sign because that means something has scared all the critter, all the wildlife and critters off of this damn mountain. Will and Dave say we should probably go back to the house. Dale asks if he heard something, and we get blurry predator vision again. And Dale finds some tracks and Will thinks they're cow tracks. They're basically like the hooves. And Will thinks they're cow tracks. And Dale looks back and just goes, you ever seen a 2-legged cow, you fucking idiot? Krampus appears behind Will, rips his arm off, and that kills him. Dale gets up, basically turns to fire, and gets gutted with one swipe. Like, I'm literally talking disemboweled. Swipe, all of his guts start popping, falling out of his stomach. Dave runs like a bitch. He gets to the house, tells everyone that they need to get the hell out of there. Alice and Amber both are panicking, like, where's Dale? Where's Will? Where's my husband? Where's my father? And Alice and Amber both say, we're not going anywhere without Dale or Will. Alice tries to basically go outside to find Dale, but Dave stops her, and Bonnie tells, he looks at Bonnie and goes, look, you need to tell these two what you just saw because, they're going to try to go out there and we know what's going to happen. Bonnie tells him, he's right, stay in here. It didn't die when I shot it. So Fran comes back on the phone and says they need to stay indoors and secure the house. Like, yeah, that's what we just fucking said. So naturally, Alice and Amber go running outside, and apparently Tommy went too. Because, hey, there's a potentially deadly monster outside. Let's send the 7th grader. We cut to Deputy Dan. He's showing up to Bonnie's house finally. And I got a little bit of a problem with this scene. Because they obviously rented a cruiser with police lights on the car and everything. They even added the siren the siren in post. It's a sound effect that was added in post. But for some reason, the lights on the car are not on. Like, you hear the woo as they pull up. Nothing. There's no lights on. Dale gets out of the car and pulls out his flashlight. He walks around a little bit, finds the half-eaten corpse of James, and gets on his radio and goes, "Yeah, we're gonna need a cadaver unit and some backup." And after finally saying all this, that's when he decides to pull his gun. Okay. We now cut to Amber, Alice, and Tommy walking around. They're walking around looking for Dale and Will. And again, I asked, why the hell did you bring the child with you when they are telling you people have been murdered? Tommy goes running off to find his armless dad. And then we cut to the house, and Troy is basically just laying in bed with his earbuds in. Dave busts into the room, yells at him, asking if he's really that disconnected from reality. We're getting the fuck out of here. Come on. He tells him all hell is breaking loose out here, and he's playing, and you're in here playing your game. Car's leaving in 30 seconds, with or without you. Troy whines and gets up to leave, but he turns and sees the summoning stone sitting on Tommy's bed. So naturally, his little dickhead ass steals it. We cut to the outside, where Alice basically has been abandoned. She's yelling for Amber and Tommy to come back and help her. Alice is walking with a cane too, by the way. Then we get the blurry predator vision again. Krampus just literally walks up, bitch slaps Alice, and her head flies clean off. Like, he just walks up, backhand slap across the face, and head goes flying. I like that one. I thought it was funny. So we're back in the house, and Fiona hands Bonnie some clothes and basically says, "Look, these are my size, but I think they'll fit you." And Dave tells Vivian to get in the car. He tells Fiona that she's going with them, and Fiona says, "No, fuck that. Cops said to stay indoors." Dave looks at Bonnie again, and Bonnie goes, "Yeah, fuck that. We're getting ready. We're leaving." We cut to Fran, who is trying to tell her this. Basically, this whole time, after Bonnie hangs up the phone, then we cut to Fran, who's like, "Look, no, stay indoors and don't hang up, ma'am." And there's the dial tone. Dave asks where Troy is, and he's coming, stuffing the rock in his bag. Cut outside to Tommy and Amber. Tommy, who Amber finally catches up to, and there's dead, armless Daddy on the ground. This finally convinces Amber that it's time to fucking go. But Krampus has other ideas. As Amber turns around, swipe, and basically Amber's guts are starting to fall out. Krampus dives on them and starts eating them. She tells Tommy to run, and he goes running, makes it back to the house just in time to get in the car because Dave's leaving. And Dave is taking Will's car too, by the way, not his own. So they take off speeding down the road. We cut, I guess they're supposed to be down the road a little bit. Didn't do a really good cut scene here or anything. But Vivian's in the passenger seat telling them to slow the fuck down. And then basically Dave's like, "I ain't slowing down. Fuck that." And they start arguing, and because Dave tells her to shut up, and Vivian's like, "Oh no, you didn't just tell me to shut up. I will come over." Well, he tells her to keep it up, and they'll have an accident. And then they look straight ahead and take a wild guess. Yes, they hit a road closed sign. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's down. Dave asks if everyone's okay, and Troy says, "No, Dad." He asks, "Okay, well, is everyone still alive?" And it appears to be. He asks Bonnie what the fastest way to town is, and Bonnie says through the desert. So they all get out of the car, and Dave tells Vivian, "Come on, babe, we have to go." And we now see that Vivian is dead from the crash. Dave basically starts crying and going, no, no, no. Troy freaks the fuck out, pulls his dad out of the car, and punches him. Now, Troy is a teenager. And he just pulls dad out of the car and pow, right in the face. Bonnie stops him and says, we have to go. We have to leave before that thing gets here. And Dave says, too late. It's already here. And we pan around to see Krampus slowly walking towards them. Again, we see the whole costume and it looks so stupid. It would be a very creepy shot because it's like Krampus in the distance walking towards them. And that shit's creepy, you know? But if he didn't look so silly and it wasn't obvious that the guy in the costume, he's either on stilts or he's wearing some kind of like platformed shoe to give him height. Dave tells Bonnie to get the kids to safety and apparently he's going to fight off Krampus. Bonnie and the kids go running and Krampus basically just makes very quick work of Dave, ripping his arm off and then ripping his head off. And I wrote down again, this costume is just awful. Cut to Bonnie's house where Deputy Dan finally decides to enter without any backup. He just walks. It's basically a scene of him walking through the house going, State Police, show yourself, State Police, anybody here? And that's it. And he tells Fran, and Fran tells him that Bonnie hung up on her. And he says, send the cadavers again, send the backup, whatever. But we cut to Bonnie and the kids who have made it to a trailer. This is where I say volume alert because I'm gonna start yelling here in a few fucking minutes. Cut to Bonnie and the kids who have made it to a trailer, and it looks almost exactly like the trailer that the Bigfoot hunters were in. But no, it is the home of another old man, Cooper. Bonnie asks if he still has that old beater truck, and Cooper tells her, no, it broke down last winter. The engine went and I was never able to get it running again. And she just goes, shit. And she tells him there's something after them. And this right here is what, if I was Cooper, I'd be pissed at this point. It's like, oh, so you were just going to take my fucking truck and leave me here to deal with it. To deal with what's fucking chasing you. Yeah, you go to fucking hell, bitch. He tells her there's an evil moon out tonight, and he's seen this once before. When he was a young man, and basically we go back in time and realize that this Cooper is the young boy from the original story at the beginning of the movie. And so hold the fuck up. He was the young guy who was obviously in his 20s or so when they were digging up the grave. Now again, they didn't really tell us when they were doing this, but if you go by their garb and their wear and the fact that they had guns on their gun belts wrapped around their waist like the cowboys used to, you would say that this would have had to have been, at minimum, the early 20s. Which would mean this guy would be in his 90s or fucking dead. But he's still alive in this town, apparently. Like, this just doesn't make... The timeline doesn't make a lick of sense now. It really doesn't. So he tells the story of what happened at the beginning. He says that how they met an old German who told him that he knew the location of Klaus Junger's loot. Now, again, that would make this make the beginning of the story set in at least the 1910s or 1920s, which again, this guy would be fucking dead. He wouldn't still be alive. But he tells him the story of Klaus Younger and how he used to rob every bank and every stagecoach, this side of Texas. And they replay the beginning of the movie, the whole thing where, he kills everybody. Cooper tells them all they found what they found was a black rock the size of a football. And Troy pulls out the rock that he has and goes, "What, you mean like this one?" Cooper says, "Yeah, that one." And he's like, "Well, where did you find that one?" Tommy tells him he found it in the creek by their grandfather's house, and Cooper says, "Yeah, that's the fucking rock. Thanks for bringing it here, guys. Thanks." And he goes, basically he just looks and goes, "That's the rock, and that's the rock. That's the reason why Krampus is chasing you." Bonnie doesn't believe him. She's like, "Krampus, are you serious?" Even though she not only saw Krampus, but fucking shot at it. Like, you saw the creature. You shot at the creature. Why is this so far fucking fetched that this is Krampus? Cooper tells them somehow one of them summoned him, and Bonnie says this is crazy even for you. This is crazy even for you. And again, you dumb bitch, you fucking saw the monster eating your boyfriend. You fucking saw it. How is this not believable? Like, you saw it. You shot at it. What more do you need? I was angry. I was angry at this part. It's like, you don't get to sit there and go, "Hey, Cooper, you're fucking crazy." Oh no, bitch, did you not just see it? You ran here from it. Yeah, fuck you. Cooper says this ain't no ordinary rock. And Cooper grabs a book that he said he searched high and low for to find, and it's Die Legend von Krampus book. Cooper says he knew for sure it would come in real handy eventually, and he tells him that the rock is a summoning stone, which is used to bring the evil spirits into this world. And only 2 people in the history of the world ever knew how to control them once summoned. One of them was Cleopatra, and one was St. Nicholas. Tommy goes, "Wait, Santa?" And then Troy's douchebag ass starts making fun of Tommy for believing in Santa. Cooper says every legend is based on on even a shred of truth. Tommy asks if the book tells them how to control them, and Cooper says no, but it does tell us how to stop them, because of course it does. Cooper says here you have your elements: earth, fire, and water. Fire is what awakens him. One mere spark hits the stone, and then it brings the curse to life. So, yeah, the cigarette, I guess, would have been able to light the stone. Tommy asks, "Well, how do we reverse the curse?" And Cooper says he must be returned to the netherworld. He must be returned to the netherworld, buried beneath earth and stone. Once his thirst for blood is quenched, he'll return himself like he did all those years ago. But since he's still chasing you guys, it's obvious he's not done yet. So Cooper tells them not too far from there is an old mine, and it was closed in the 1880s when the diggers hit the water table. Cooper says the Krampus is attracted to the stone, and that we can use that to attract him into the mine, hit the fuse, and bring the whole fucking mountain down on top of him. Cooper says, "Yeah, dynamite." Or Fiona asks, "Fuse? What do you mean fuse?" And Cooper says, "Yeah, dynamite." Bonnie says that is ridiculous, and again, I had to hold my breath. And that their best bet is to get to the town for help. And Cooper becomes my hero in this, because he gets mad and basically asks, "Who do you think is going to be able to help you? And what do you think they're going to be able to do against him? Bullets won't kill him, as you already fucking know. And hell, an A-bomb wouldn't work." He says, "You folk are the ones that woke him up. You're the ones he's after. So bringing him to town would just get a lot more people killed." And I wrote down that I am starting to like Cooper because he's smart. Cooper says he studied Krampus all of his life. and knows that the only way to stop him is to send him back to hell. They always said I was crazy, but I knew one day he'd awaken and come back to finish the job. Bonnie says, "What the hell," as the rock Troy is playing with now starts to glow. Cooper says it only glows like that when Krampus is close by. It's time to go. So Cooper kind of looks around as they leave and says it's time to go, as Bonnie once again says she doesn't like this. You know what, Bonnie? You lose any kind of opinion. You lose all your opinion having rights when you don't believe him that Krampus is chasing you. When you fucking saw him, you fucking tried to shoot him, you've been running from him, you saw him kill your boyfriend, you saw him kill Dave. Go fuck yourself, Bonnie. We cut to the group arriving at the mine, and they just walk inside, and they walk around for a minute until Troy's little bitch ass can't keep up because he's fat, he's a smoker, doesn't get exercise, all that good stuff. He says he needs a break and he basically won't let anybody touch the stone. And now for some reason, basically he sits the fuck down, and everybody's like, "No, all right, fine, we're just gonna keep going." So now, for some reason, we cut back to Deputy Dan, who now finds the body of basically the entire family. Cooper says, "This here's the spot, so let's plant some dynamite." And can I remind you that Troy's dumbass has the stone? Troy goes to light a cigarette when he hears Krampus appear. When Krampus appears, and he goes running as Cooper basically plants the dynamite on the beam that they need. That one beam apparently is going to bring down this whole mine. Okay. The kids all go running as Cooper lights the fuse and starts laughing. He tells basically Krampus knocks him on the ground, and he tells Krampus he'll see him in hell. As Krampus looks up at the dynamite and gets the "whoa" look on his face, and the dynamite explodes, and the kids run out of the mine. Yeah, like the mine was supposed to explode. The whole mountain is supposed to come down. And apparently they've been in the mine for like 4 or 5 hours because it's daylight when they leave. We cut to Deputy Dan, and he's just staring off into the desert when he sees Bonnie and the kids. And he gets excited, well, except for Troy because he's not with them. Dan asks if anybody else is up there, and Tommy goes, Troy's up there. You don't got to save him if you don't really want to, but yeah, Troy's up there. Bonnie looks at this and goes, "Merry Christmas, Dan." Roll credit. Nope. I thought that was the end. Sit back, guys. We cut to Troy walking around. He's just walking around the desert looking for a signal for his phone. And he sees this. He looks down and sees his bag has been torn to shreds. And here's a growl. He looks down, and I shit you not, a baby fucking Krampus jumps up, bites him in the neck, and kills Troy. What the fuck? Roll credits. That is Krampus Unleashed. What the ever-loving fuck? Why is there a baby Krampus? Why? How? Like, you if you're gonna make a movie, you gotta tell people this shit. That was Krampus Unleashed, and I feel so much dumber after watching that movie. And the thing about it is, it was okay. You know, everything was almost not really making sense. People's reactions and stuff, but I can get around that. But then when you get to the end of the movie, and you're gonna look me dead in the face, and Bonnie's just gonna sit there and go, "Hey, you know what's weird? I don't believe you. I don't believe there's a Krampus when you fucking saw him. He was chasing you. He killed your boyfriend. You took your shotgun and you shot him. Where the fuck do you get off going? Krampus? Yeah, right. What did you think it was? Like, just stupid." So, all right, some trivia. The movie was released November 1st, 2016 in the United States. Filming locations were in Mesa, Arizona. It says that the runtime is an hour and 20 minutes, maybe with credits. And it was only like an hour and 15 minutes total. Let's see, trivia. Around 25 minutes in, the family is watching some Christmas movie on TV, and it's actually Krampus the Reckoning, which was also written and directed by Robert Conway, and I hope was better than this. This was the second of 3 Krampus movies written by Robert Conway, as he did Krampus the Reckoning, Krampus Unleashed, and Krampus Origins. The movies are unrelated, although initially Origins was briefly marketed as a prequel to Unleashed. And that's all the trivia. That's down here. There's no money or anything like that. It was put out by Funhouse Features, Triple G Production, and Uncorked. That's all of that. Baby Krampus as himself, yeah. Let's see some reviews. It only has like a 2.5 out of 10 on here. Poor addition to Krampus franchise. Yeah, there's a lot of like with spoilers and that in it. 1 out of 10. I want to find a 10 out of 10. I want to see who the fuck. You go 10 stars. Krampus Slade. I really enjoyed this film. All credit to the amazing Robert Conway. The casting was impeccable. The acting was amazing. No, it wasn't. And overall, the movie was probably the best Krampus depiction. No, it wasn't. Krampus ain't a fucking zombie. You know, this person who is her name? There's not even a name on this. There's not even a name on this review. Best movie I've ever watched? Well, you ain't watched many movies then. This is such a good movie, from the long scenes that build up the context and the brutal death scenes. My favorite being when Grandma's head is taken off in a swift swooping action. That was no the movie. I'm not gonna keep reading those. Those are just full of shit. It's review time. This movie was terrible. It pissed me off beyond. Just a few things pissed me off. You know, there's no fucking way Cooper would have been the guy. Just the kid that ran away at the beginning of the movie. There's just no fucking way. He was too old. He would be dead. And even by 2016 standards, he would still be dead. Or at least 90 to 100 years old. And he's obviously not. Bonnie not believing Cooper when he tells her that when Cooper tells her that that what's chasing them is Krampus. Even though she's seen the monster, she's ran away from the monster. She shot the monster. She watched the monster eat her boyfriend, eat and kill Dave, eat and a bunch of other people. How do you write that and not think that? The acting is awful. Troy probably did the best job of acting just because he played annoying really, really well. Like annoying little shithead kid really well. And then at the end, the baby fucking Krampus for no reason. No reason. This is gonna get 1.5 Christmas trees out of 5 because this was just not good. Like the movie dragged with all the building up the context of them. The family hates each other. What family doesn't? You have the douchebag, climate activist, non-capitalist. Christmas is a materialistic, capitalist, blah blah blah, whatever. Dude, like it just he became that preachy douchebag, and that just got annoying. But I'm giving it 1.5 trees just because it drug and drug and drug. I wish they would have did a better job with the costume. Do a better job with making more shit happen. Just make more shit happen. That's my biggest complaint about this movie is that nothing fucking happened for 45 minutes. Like you get the action in the first couple minutes of the movie, and then for 45 fucking minutes, we bounce back and forth between the family, between you know, the random deputy and uh dispatcher that have no bearing, no overall effect on the movie. We pan back and forth between who else? Um Between Bonnie. I guess Bonnie had a little bit of bearing on the movie, but at the end of the day, it was a character that wasn't really needed. Except titties. That's the whole reason they put Bonnie in the movie is you guys like breasts? Here you go. And just it didn't accomplish anything. Like the costume looked bad, the walking looked bad. Like even if it's not you can have a bad costume, not the best costume. Don't show the guy walking in it. But yeah, 1.5 true Christmas trees is what I'll give it. And if you watch, I mean, always go back and watch a movie. Always go back and watch a movie. Don't just listen to what I say or what reviews say or like Amazon, because even going back or IMDb is what I'm talking about, not Amazon. IMDb is where I go look, which IMDb I know doesn't give the best ratings either. But let me get back on here. Um, Krampus Unleashed has 2.5 out of 10 stars on IMDb. Um, Let me see. I'm on Amazon. No, stay on that page. Wrong one. Sorry about that. I almost left you guys a couple minutes early. Let's see what. Krampus Unleashed. I mean, it's the 2.5 out of 10 from IMDb. It says on here. Let's see. Yeah, there's really nothing else other than that. They give you the same. Oh, here it is. 3 stars out of 5, which on Amazon, that's about average. Amazon doesn't really give the best or the most accurate. 35% said 10 stars. But from the looks of it, they're talking about the DVD and not the movie. Well, guys, that's going to do it for the show this week. Tune in next week. Hopefully, I can get on time. We'll do a Christmas movie next week. Coming up in the future, we got the Dayton Christmas Killings on our next episode of Shivers. When we decide to do that, I think that's going to be after Christmas because I want to get a couple more Christmas movies in, as I do love Christmas horror. But you guys can find me everywhere at the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. If you missed any episodes of the show, you can go to YouTube and watch them freely in your own free time if you want the video, or if you just want the recorded session, you could always go anywhere the Spreaker downloads their podcast to, like your Amazon, your iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're everywhere. Not only that, you can find me on Twitch at Sewer Dweller 78. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I haven't been on in a couple of months. I need to try to get that a little more active, but I got to find a little more time to do so. So I do want to keep doing that. I play a lot of Grand Theft Auto, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, horror games, and things like that. So keep a track of that. Also, you can email me any comments or anything or any movies you want us to want me to cover on the show at bloodybinge at bloodybinge@gmail.com. email me anytime and I will respond. Hopefully coming up, we got some hardcore heels with Raz and Matt. We got to talk about when we're going to do that again. But our next episode of Hardcore Heels will feature the first 3 episodes of Monday Night Raw. But guys, we've been running long enough for this. Way too much time on this movie. Be safe. Have a happy week. Have a great week. Merry Krampusnacht. And as always, watch more horror movies. See you guys next week.